Am I living in a world where a week from Thursday night, I might hear Roger Goodell say the name Jaxson Dart before I hear him say the name Shedeur Sanders?
I think Jaxson Dart is closer to 2 than he is to 4, 5, or 6. I would seriously, I don't think he makes it outside the top 10.
I've got Jaxson Dart just slightly ahead of Shedeur, and I think it's more of just the physical traits and what he can be.
There's always that one quarterback that receives late hype coming into the draft. The one that comes out of nowhere to receive first-round buzz with all the traits that make NFL front offices drool.
Ole Miss ran like the same 6 concepts a lot. That being said, he operates them flawlessly, and that being said, so did Jaden Daniels at LSU.
A couple of years ago, we had Will Levis. This year, the most popular draft darling is Jaxson Dart, the Ole Miss gunslinger who has been mocked as high as 9th overall to the Saints.
People say, why Jaxson Dart? I say, why not? Okay, why not?
So what's happened? Is this just the classic pre-draft smoke, or is Jaxson Dart the real deal? Well, in today's video, we're going to cover exactly what they aren't telling you about Jaxson Dart. Now, born in Utah in 2003, Jaxson Dart's journey to the NFL began at Roy High School. His father, Brandon, had been a safety at the University of Utah, so he was eagerly nudging his son in that direction until they discovered Jaxson's natural throwing ability. And even after a few first steady seasons at Roy High School, Jaxson transferred over to Corner Canyon, known for its footballing prowess. It was a step up in quality for Jaxson, and to make sure he was ready for it, Dart linked up with John Beck and Adam Dedeaux from 3D QB, an organization renowned for helping quarterbacks hone their craft. They even told The Athletic about how the far younger Dart was looking good alongside their other quarterbacks such as Bryce Young, Zach Wilson, and Miller Moss, suggesting big things were in order for his senior season with Corner Canyon. And well, the hard work did end up paying off as Dart led his team to a state title, setting a new single-season touchdown record in the process. This came in the form of a simply sensational 4,691 yards, 67 touchdowns, and just 4 interceptions. And as if that wasn't enough, he also tallied 1,195 yards and 12 touchdowns as a rusher. Corner Canyon, as you probably can tell, were a far more pass-happy offense than what Dart was used to, but there was another benefit to come from that senior season. You see, during the COVID pandemic, Utah high school football was some of the only organized sports to continue playing through the pandemic, meaning there were plenty of eyes on Dart for this offensive explosion. I mean, hell, even in one game that was televised by ESPN, Dart absolutely made the most of it, tossing 6 touchdowns and rushing for 132 yards all on his own.
Looking for 6, and they got 6. Jaxson throwing a dart over the middle. After a first down pickup, Dart launches one deep. It's caught. Talmadge handling with a house call. Tell you what, Jaxson Dart was ready for his close-up. Might get a few more offers after tonight.
For his efforts in 2022, Dart was named the Gatorade National Player of the Year and earned a 4-star rating. And surprisingly, after not getting much interest during the first 3 years of his high school career, the offers were now flooding in, with even Arizona State, TCU, UCLA, and USC all lining up to get his commitment. And eventually, it was the USC Trojans who ended up getting their guy.
I felt like in my mind that for me to reach my dreams, that I needed to be in that position. I needed to fight for, the top spot. To outsiders may look a little crazy. I don't think a lot of people thought I was going to commit to USC because of that quarterback room. I had a lot of confidence in myself, and ultimately I just wanted to be pushed, and I knew it was going to make me a better player.
And as it turns out as well, that commitment from Jaxson Dart was pretty much the only bright spot of what was to come and be a pretty messy USC Trojans season.
And we're following breaking news here on CBS Sports HQ. Clay Helton has been fired as USC's head coach. Helton already on the hot seat coming into this season, maybe the past couple of seasons. Well, the news of his departure coming after USC's loss to Stanford over the weekend.
Still, Dart did show signs of a promising future, getting his first opportunity against Washington State after the starter left with an injury. An interception, punt, and fumble on his first 3 drives was about as bad of a start as you could ask for, but Dart steadied himself and showed off just how talented he was. He dragged the team back down from 14-0 to win by 45 points to 14, lighting up the box score in the process. He completed 65% of his passes for 391 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions, adding 32 yards on the ground. Unfortunately, a knee injury did sideline him for the next month, but he got himself back into the starting role a year later. His official debut came in a rivalry match against UCLA, which ended as a 62-33 massacre, followed up by 2 more losses against BYU and Cal. I mean, truthfully, it was just a very less than ideal start for Jaxson Dart in college. But even in that less than exciting start, he definitely was still showing flashes of just the creativity and the arm strength that he did possess. Unfortunately though, he wouldn't get a chance to develop those further at USC, as the team's bad performance in the 2021 season had led the program to bring in Lincoln Riley as head coach.
When Lincoln got hired, I was ecstatic. I mean, there was no thoughts of me leaving. I was just super pumped to play for such an elite coach, and I thought that USC was going to be the place for me.
So we had that assurance for about 30 minutes probably. And then we quickly realized, oh, he's bringing his guy. So it will be an electric offense, but it's going to be with his guy, like you're the backup.
Who was swiftly followed by generational quarterback prospect Caleb Williams. And now with future playing time essentially withdrawn, Dart entered the transfer portal, landing on Ole Miss as an ideal destination primarily because of Lane Kiffin's quarterback-friendly offense. The Rebels under Kiffin like to spread their receivers out wide, creating big lanes for quarterbacks to aim at and allowing them to throw deep whenever the opportunity came about. And it's here, truthfully, where Jaxson Dart just continued to show improvement year after year. He completed 62.4% of his passes for 2,974 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions in 2022, before upgrading to a 65.1% completion rate for 3,364 yards, 23 touchdowns, and just 5 interceptions in 2023. He remained a dangerous rusher over this 2-year stretch as well, collecting a total of 1,005 yards and 9 touchdowns. And I mean, by 2023, Dart was playing consistently better football and making fewer mistakes, highlighted by a breakout victory over LSU, in which he passed for 389 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions, while also rushing for 50 yards and another score on the ground. Dart's numbers weren't the only thing to improve over his 2 seasons while at Ole Miss as well. The team's win tally improved from 8 to 11, earning them a high ranking of number 9 in 2023. And laying the foundations for one more season in 2024 to set Dart up for the NFL draft. Dart and the Rebels absolutely humiliated their first 3 opponents in 2024, with Jaxson Dart posting a completion percentage of 81.5, 92.6, and 76.5 against Furman, Middle Tennessee, and Wake Forest. These one-sided outings saw the Rebels absolutely destroy their opponents by margins of 76, 49, and 34 respectively. And now, yes, I know, obviously trying to, grade a draft prospect based off of those 3 opponents who respectively, they're not the best, the cream of the crop that you'll get in the SEC, but there still is plenty that we can take from these games. I mean, take for example his physical rushing ability, barreling over 3 Wake Forest defenders to notch a rushing touchdown, or his impressive placement of deep passes outside the numbers. Unfortunately though, losses to Kentucky, LSU, and Florida meant there was no playoff football to be enjoyed, but that doesn't mean there wasn't some fun along the way. Most notably a 6-touchdown outing against Arkansas and a 28-10 win over Georgia. Dart led the Rebels to a 9-3 record before completing 77% of his passes for 404 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in the Gator Bowl against Duke. This wrapped up his best season of college football yet, with Dart completing 69.3% of his passes for 4,279 yards, 29 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions, while also picking up 495 yards and 3 touchdowns as a rusher. Like, that is legit dual threat quarterbacking at a high level, earning him a slot on the first team All-SEC roster. He also won the Connerly Trophy, awarded the best college player in Mississippi, wrapping up his career as just the 4th quarterback in SEC history to surpass 12,000 yards of total offense. So with 4 years of college experience under his belt, Jaxson Dart decided to declare for the NFL draft. Early talks of this quarterback class being significantly weaker than in recent years didn't exactly do too much to boost Dart's profile, but he quickly found some fans and became somewhat of a pre-draft darling. You see, he started out kind of as a mid-round projection and then quickly turned into a round 2 projection, and now we have Todd McShay pegging him to go 9th overall to the New Orleans Saints. And trust me, there's little to no argument who the top quarterback in this class is, with Cam Ward quite clearly separating himself with the kind of traits we see in the top NFL quarterbacks nowadays. But behind him, it's easy to understand why people have been looking for something a little bit more exciting than Shedeur Sanders, who lacks any standout athletic traits and wins much more with his football IQ and processing. I mean, with so many people talking about just how weak this class was, people were always going to look for an upside riser, and it's easy to understand why Dart is that guy. First of all, due to the system that he did play in at Ole Miss, we are all very accustomed to seeing this kid sling it deep. Lane Kiffin's game plan asks his quarterback to throw the ball deep and outside the numbers a lot, and Dart is more than willing to let it rip. If he sees one-on-one outside coverage, you bet he is pulling the trigger, leading to by far the most yards on deep passes over 20 yards. According to PFF2, his 1,517 yards on such passes is 244 yards more than second place, with Kyle McCord notching 1,273 yards on passes beyond 20 yards. So we've grown accustomed to seeing Dart deliver eye-popping passes downfield, and his advanced metrics look pretty good as well. His big-time throw percentage according to PFF is 7.1%, which is tied for the top in the nation in 2024, and his 77.7% adjusted completion rate, which accounts for drops, throwaways, etc., ranks 7th best in the nation. I mean, truthfully, we already know he can sling the ball deep, he's great at layering the ball over the middle, and he can make terrific off-platform throws when he needs to make those kind of throws. And when we say all of those things, that's everything that you look for in a prototypical quarterback nowadays that teams are falling in love with. So then that begs the question, why is he not a consensus top 10 pick then? Well, first of all, the Ole Miss offense is about as tricky as it gets from an evaluation standpoint. It makes things as easy as possible for the quarterback, giving them plenty of space to operate in and minimal concepts to learn. A lot of their plays have predetermined reads or are run-pass options, which don't really ask the quarterback to make full field progressions. And trust me, that doesn't mean he can't do it, but there also isn't a lot of evidence suggesting that, well, he can do it. Like straight up, when Dart gets to the NFL, he will be hit by a far more complex and just broader playbook, which will take a lot of time to adjust to. That's where the danger comes in. When you're projecting whether or not a quarterback will be able to figure it out and develop into a player who can understand and execute offensive game plans, you're taking a gamble. Like, trust me, the physical traits, they're definitely there, but the question is can he take his game to the next level and continue racking up numbers against far more intelligent and complex defensive schemes with a far more complex offensive playbook to learn as well. On top of that, his arm strength is definitely not top of the class. I mean, he has shown signs of being influenced by pressure as well, being quick to drop his eyes and run, and had several games where his decision making in the dying moments was concerning. Most notably in tight games against Florida in 2024, he threw baffling interceptions on back-to-back drives to close out the game, trailing by just 7 points. That's definitely not ideal for a guy who's started 3 seasons of college football. You'd expect more out of him. Overall, I mean, just Jaxson Dart as an NFL prospect is just one of the tougher prospects to try and wrap their heads around, but at the same time, it's kind of what makes him one of the most fun storylines to follow for the draft. Like, it's his natural throwing ability and creativity that tell a story of a very high ceiling, but the juvenile Ole Miss playbook and concerning late game decision making reflects a dangerously low floor. This is what we like to call a boomer bust prospect, who is most certainly a gamble on. I mean, as we all know, quarterbacks get pushed up higher than any other position in the draft, and despite the fact that this guy has many unknowns and red flags, the buzz has been that he might be working his way into the first round. Like, I mean, as shocking as it is enough, some mock drafts, and I'm not sure if Todd McShay does, but some even have him going 9th overall to New Orleans ahead of Shedeur Sanders somehow. Like, the one concerning thing with Dart going that high is that he is certainly a quarterback who will need some time to develop, and teams selecting that high normally need to go get their guy on the field as soon as possible. In the right system with the right head coach, this is a player who could evolve into a very effective NFL quarterback down the road, but it's hard to see that happening in year 1. With him having to learn so much in terms of just broader playbook and making full field progressions, Dart starting as a rookie seems like an absolute recipe for disaster. And we know that teams drafting in the top 10 always come under pressure to get their shiny new quarterbacks onto the field, particularly when the head coach's jobs are on the line. For me, truthfully, the best Jaxson Dart outcome is to fall into a competent, just offensive team who will sit and develop him for at least a year before rolling him out. Then, and I mean only then, truthfully, do I potentially see this working out.